Well, just overall, a movie, the most important part. I think you know what that is since we are talking about screenwriting tips. But wouldn't you agree? I mean, it's first and foremost, script. Most important. Well, the most important.
Oh yeah, absolutely. The script is the base of everything that comes from it. You know, unless you have a good script, you know, you're not going to have a good movie. I mean, that's just it, you know. It's like if you've got a bad architectural design for a house, you're going to have a bad house. I don't care how good the carpenters are, you know, unless you change the design, you know, unless you change the script. You know, an example of that, you know, let me give is The Fugitive, where they were rewriting that script as they were going through. I know I'm jumping ahead here, but
no.
Yeah, but they were rewriting that script, fixing it all the way through the movie to get it to work right. You know, but they finally got it to work right. And Harrison Ford even said, you know, when he was asked, was there ever a movie you were in that you thought would bomb but turned out to be a hit? He said, The Fugitive. That's a date. But originally it was a bad script, but they were fixing it as they were going, and they were able to fix it enough to make it work. They got it right.
They got it right. Now here in my notes, I may be pronouncing this Kalashnikov? Kalashnikov. Russian, I would assume.
Yeah.
Got the quote here. A tool is only as good as its usefulness, so keep the design simple so less can go wrong. Fugitive, example, okay. I didn't kill my wife, I don't care.
Yeah, originally in The Fugitive, that scene between Harrison Ford and Tommy Lee Baker goes on for a couple pages of dialogue, and it just became laughable. It was almost like a Batman scene. It was just so ridiculous. You know, Harrison. But they took. He has this like a paragraph where he says, "I didn't kill my wife." Where he goes on, "I'm innocent," explaining his innocence. And Tommy Lee Jones says, "I don't care. My job is just to bring you in, not to decide if you're innocent or not. That is irrelevant to me." You know, and the two just kept arguing back and forth for several pages. You know, but so they just took the line at the beginning, "Didn't kill my wife," and they took the other line at the beginning of his paragraph, "I don't care," and they condensed it to that, and it worked. You see what I'm saying? They kept it simple. You know, and that's the thing that they keep forgetting to do most of the time when they're working on a project. You know, KISS principle, keep it simple, stupid.
Right,
you know,
right.
Simple is better.
Man, there are, you know, we're talking screenwriting tips here. There are risks that you have to take as a writer. You can name an example of a script that you had written where you took risks.
Yeah.
Explain that one.
Well, I wrote a script called Lord Shiva. And in this script, I have a hero who is hearing voices.
Yeah.
And and the voice is giving him advice all the way through the story.
Sometimes that happens to me.
And the voice is telling him not to tell other people that you're hearing me as a voice, because they'll think you're crazy.
Well, I'm not that.
And the thing
I
is,
may hear voices, but I'm not crazy. No, don't get.
Yeah. So in the story, I leave it ambiguous whether he really was crazy or not, or if he had some sort of divine inspiration. You know, but the voice that was giving him advice all the way through the story was giving him pretty solid advice all the way through. But to make a hero who is probably crazy as the central character, you know, that's a risk as a story. You know, particularly to make him that crazy, to where he's hearing voices. Like I have a scene where he's in danger, and the voice is telling him that all the guys he's with, his team, has just been gunned down by the bad guys. He's all alone now. It's giving him advice what to do. I mean, that's like really an over-the-top type of scene. But some people who read it, they really liked it, and they said they wanted to produce it. You know, they're just trying to raise the money.
Right. Yeah. All right. Well, experiences like being homeless have given having your rights violated by the people in power. Experiences, some of these situations have made you a better writer.
Oh yeah. Well, I think, you know, it's interesting because Mark Twain, he was actually homeless himself for a while. You know, he was actually a homeless hobo vagrant for a couple of years. You know, where he was struggling, and you know, I've had hard times where, you know, I've had my rights violated by the people in power. But the thing is, you know, you don't, you know, it's like you can take these experiences and you can weave, these experiences into your story, and you can weave, you can understand what characters who are getting the hell kicked out of them in real life, what they're feeling. It gives you a larger perspective. It's like the saying, you can't buy experience, but it can cost you a fortune. And when I was a kid, I heard that. I didn't understand what it meant, but as I got older, I understood what it meant. You can't buy an experience like losing everything and ending up homeless, but that's an experience you can draw upon, for telling a story.
Right. So some of these life experiences have basically made you appreciate life more.
Well, yeah. Well, it's interesting because Sergeant Campbell was a Vietnam veteran. He did 2 tours in Vietnam, and I'd also been in life-threatening experiences. And it was interesting, our 2 different perspectives on it, whereas he felt that it gave him a greater appreciation for life, almost, getting killed. Whereas my experience was actually the opposite. I was, what a horrible world I've been born into. I actually didn't, it didn't give me, how should I say, a zeal or lust for life. It's more like, but it's actually, but being homeless, and experiencing, hardships like that, it makes me appreciate things like having a cup of coffee more. You know what I'm saying? With sugar and cream, or having a meal, or being in a dry, warm bed. I personally appreciate more from, having to struggle like that.
Right, and getting back to the life-threatening situation or mortal combat, I have here in my notes, you said that if there is glory in mortal combat, you couldn't find it.
Yeah, that was my experience. Yeah, when I was in 2nd grade, a kid came at me with a knife and tried to kill me. I was only in 2nd grade, it's just a little kid. And I beat up the kid and put him in the emergency room. That experience, a lot of people would glorify or glamorize, in a story, where they write these scenes where people are fighting each other to the death or close to it, and they glorify that and they glamorize it. But it's like my own experience from that is like, hey, this is pretty horrible, nasty and traumatic. This is how I at least reacted to it. It's like where I watch these movies where they show like Troy, where the glory of war, where these guys are fighting each other to death. This isn't fun. This is scary. This is horrible. And in my writing, I try to show that and bring my own experiences into that.
Yeah. Speaking of your own experiences, like you had a bicycle accident where you shattered the old elbow, left or right? I'm a righty. Was it your writing hand?
Yeah.
So you shattered your writing elbow hand.
But it's working good now.
Writing elbow.
It's working good now.
It's working now. It ain't broken. It ain't broken.
Yeah.
So yeah, you even experienced that tragedy and used that in some using real life situations, experiences, life-threatening tragedies, injuries. I've had a few myself, not on bikes, thank God, on the athletic field. But we're not getting into that. We're talking about screenwriting tips here, ladies and gentlemen. Screenwriting tips.